Most people want to attract money and wealth into their lives. They dream of a more comfortable life, debt-free, without worrying about bills or financial constraints. Deep down, every human being feels born for more. They feel they deserve more. But what blocks the entry of wealth isn't external. It's not the government, the economy, or your salary. It's within your own mind. When a person constantly thinks about debt, hardship, and tightening their belt, they're training their brain to recognize and accept scarcity as normal. And here's the most important point. The mind gets used to what repeats itself. If you get used to thinking like a poor person, feeling like a poor person, talking like a poor person, then even if the money comes, it won't stay. Because your internal programming repels anything that isn't aligned with your deepest thoughts. Therefore, true change begins in the mind. Prosperity isn't born in the wallet, it's born in the mind. A new financial life begins with new mental habits. It begins when you exchange thoughts of fear for thoughts of confidence. When you stop repeating, "I can't, it's hard," and start saying, "I'm becoming more prosperous every day." This change, even if it seems small, creates a new neural pathway. And over time, this new pathway transforms into belief, and belief becomes reality. But before diving into the teachings, make sure you've already hit the like button. But only do this if you truly want to attract wealth into your life. And write in the comments now, "I am ready to prosper." This allows your mind to begin accepting the idea that something is changing. Don't underestimate the power of small conscious actions. When you clearly affirm, "I am ready to prosper," something within you begins to reorganize. Let's dig deeper. What does it really mean to attract wealth? We're not just talking about money in the bank, we're talking about feeling abundant, feeling in control, knowing that you can indeed live well, that you can go to the grocery store without checking the price, that you can travel, that you can sleep soundly knowing you have reserves. This feeling of abundance is a mental frequency. It's like a radio station. You only hear what you're tuned into. Those who tune into the station of fear, hardship, and scarcity only receive more of it. Those who tune into abundance begin to see opportunities where before they only saw barriers. The mind needs to be retrained for prosperity, and retraining isn't difficult. It's a practice, a daily habit. And this habit begins with vigilance. What do you think when you see someone with an expensive car? What do you feel when someone says they've made a lot of money? If your reaction is criticism, envy, or judgment, know this. This reveals how your mind feels about wealth. And if you reject what you want, you'll never be able to keep it for long. This is where the power of affirmations comes in. Affirmations are seeds. They're phrases you plant in your mind every day. And like any seed, they don't yield results immediately. But with repetition, they begin to take root. So instead of repeating phrases like, "I never have any money left over," start repeating, "Money flows to me easily." Instead of thinking, "I work too much and earn too little," say, "I am aligned with the energy of wealth." These phrases, although they may seem simple, have the power to change your inner vibration. Another powerful key is visualization. The mind can't distinguish between what's real and what's intensely imagined. If you close your eyes and see yourself living in abundance, feeling gratitude, breathing a sigh of relief at having financial freedom, your mind begins to accept this new pattern as possible. And when the mind accepts it, it begins to seek paths. And these paths appear even if they initially seem coincidental. But it's not magic, it's mindset. Whatever you focus on expands. When you start focusing on prosperity, on gratitude for what you already have, on recognizing your progress, your life begins to align with it. Money doesn't come to those who need it. It comes to those who are ready. And being ready is a matter of mindset. It's deciding every day that you will think, feel, and act like someone prosperous. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract money easily? They talk casually about earning well, about buying what they want, about having comfort. This isn't luck. It's a mind that has already accepted that it deserves it, and what you accept as true for yourself, life confirms. So, start reprogramming your mind now. Observe your thoughts, change your language, replace "I can't" with "How can I?" Swap "This is expensive" with "I'm learning to attract enough to pay for it." Small changes, big results. Your financial life is merely a reflection of your mental life. And here's a powerful exercise. Every morning before anything else, say out loud, "Today I open my mind to wealth. Today I allow money to flow naturally to me. Today I act like a prosperous person." Repeat this for 21 days. Do it without interruption. Notice how your perception of money begins to shift, how your energy shifts, how new ideas, contacts, and paths emerge. Remember, life responds to what you feel most strongly. If you feel fear, you attract more situations that confirm that fear. If you feel abundance, you attract more reasons to feel rich. It all starts with thought, but it requires feeling. The union between thought and feeling creates reality. Don't rush. Don't expect immediate results. Trust the process. Changing your mindset takes time, but it's the only thing that truly sustains a new life. Anyone can change. It doesn't matter where you are today. If you change your mindset, you change everything. The human mind is an extraordinary tool. Everything created in the world began as an idea. A house, a car, a bridge, a song, a book. Everything first originated in someone's mind. The same rule applies to wealth. Before it can manifest in your bank account, it needs to emerge as a clear concept within your mind. People's biggest mistake is waiting for money to arrive first, so they can feel prosperous. But life doesn't work that way. First you feel it, then you see it. Many people live trapped in a cycle of financial anxiety because they are emotionally connected to lack. They wake up thinking about what they don't have, spend the day worrying about what they won't be able to pay, and go to sleep fearing the future. This cycle is a mental addiction, and like any addiction, it needs to be broken through awareness, repetition, and a new mindset. Change begins when you understand that it's not money that brings a sense of security. It's the sense of security that attracts money. Imagine a person who always says, "I can't live on what I earn." This phrase, repeated for years, becomes such a strong belief that even when an opportunity to earn more presents itself, they unconsciously sabotage it, because the mind is programmed to validate what it already believes. If it believes in scarcity, it will look for ways to confirm that scarcity is real. This is the trap, and that's why changing your mindset is the first and most important step. You can start the change today, and it doesn't require much effort. It starts by observing your own thoughts. When you think about money, what comes first? Fear or tranquility? When someone talks about getting rich, do you feel excited or uncomfortable? These answers reveal your level of acceptance of wealth. And what you don't accept internally doesn't remain externally. Affirmations are one of the most powerful tools for reversing this mindset. When you intentionally repeat phrases that reinforce your ability to attract wealth, your mind begins to replace old beliefs. For example, I am a magnet for money. Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. I deserve to live in comfort and abundance. Say this every day, preferably in front of a mirror. At first, your mind may resist. It may feel strange, but persist. Repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity creates acceptance. Another fundamental habit is gratitude, not as a cliché, but as a real practice. When you're grateful for what you already have, you demonstrate to your mind that you recognize abundance even in small doses, and this makes you ready to receive more. Gratitude breaks the cycle of complaining, which is one of the greatest enemies of prosperity. Complaining is focusing on what's missing. Being grateful is focusing on what exists, and what you focus on grows. If you keep saying, "I'm unlucky, nothing works out for me, I never have any money left," stop right now. These phrases are orders to your mind. They're commands it understands as truth. And to protect you, your mind will find ways to keep these truths intact. Change the command. Start saying, "I'm opening myself up to new opportunities. I'm learning to thrive. Every day, I get closer to financial freedom." This is planting new seeds, and seeds need time and care to flourish. There's also an emotional aspect that needs to be adjusted, the relationship with deservingness. Many people unconsciously carry the idea that they don't deserve to become rich, that having a lot of money is selfish, that it's wrong to want to live in luxury. This comes from stories we've heard since childhood, but these are just ideas, not truths. You need to give yourself permission to thrive. You need to look at yourself and say, "I can, I deserve, I am capable." This emotional unblocking is essential, because if you believe, even discreetly, that you shouldn't have more than you do, you'll stay exactly where you are, not because of a lack of capacity, but because you're faithful to what you believe is right for you. Change that. Change it now. Close your eyes and say out loud, "I allow myself to become rich. I release all guilt associated with money. I welcome abundance as a natural part of my life." These phrases are powerful, not because they're magical, but because they reposition your emotions. And don't forget, prosperity is more than money. It's a state of mind. a way of seeing the world. Prosperous people see opportunities where others see problems. They see growth where others see loss. It's not that they don't face difficulties, it's that they've chosen a different lens to view reality. And that choice changes everything. You can choose from now on to build this new lens. Wake up with the thought, today is a day of growth. Spend the day with the certainty, I'm getting closer and closer to the life I want. Go to sleep with the confidence, something wonderful is approaching. This repetition isn't an illusion, it's re-education, and it works. It works because the mind believes what it hears often. If you've tried to get rich and failed, don't be discouraged. Each attempt was a step. Each mistake was a learning experience. Failure only becomes real when you stop trying. As long as you're trying, you're evolving. The mind needs time to accept the new pattern, and each repetition brings you closer to the new reality. Wealth doesn't choose, it responds, and it responds to those who are in tune with it. Keep listening, keep repeating, keep believing, because over time, your reality will begin to change. And when it does, you'll realize it all started inside your mind. It was always there. It just needed to be activated. A person's financial life is, in large part, a direct expression of their mental habits. Before any money comes in or goes out, there's a thought, an expectation, a belief operating silently behind the scenes. And what we think about every day becomes a pattern. There's no mystery to this. It's pure logic. If someone frequently thinks about hardship, debt, or scarcity, they are, without realizing it, creating a mental field that blocks the entry of wealth. The secret to true transformation isn't chasing money, but stopping chasing what you're constantly running away from precisely because of pressure. When you're desperate for money, your emotional state is one of urgency, fear, and lack, and all of this pushes solutions away. You might even get some money occasionally, but it slips away. It disappears, because your internal frequency isn't prepared to retain abundance. That's why, before you try to achieve anything material, you need to prepare your internal terrain. And that terrain is your inner world, your thoughts, your emotions, your words. Have you ever stopped to observe how you talk about money in your daily life? When someone comments on something expensive, do you immediately say, "That's absurd, I would never pay that"? Or when you see someone successful, do you think, "That person must have done something wrong to get where they are"? These automatic comments accurately reveal the internal blocks you have regarding wealth. For money to start flowing naturally into your life, you need to develop a new awareness. And this awareness doesn't come out of nowhere. It's built little by little with new habits. One of the most important is the habit of monitoring what you think and say about money. The mind has the power to transform any belief into reality, as long as that belief is nurtured regularly. So if you want to see money flowing in, you first need to stop thinking and speaking like someone who's always counting coins. You can start now with a simple practice. Every time you feel like complaining, stop and take a deep breath, and replace the complaint with a positive affirmation. For example, instead of saying, "I don't have the money for that," say, "I'm learning to attract resources for everything I desire." It may seem small, but this substitution is powerful, because each new phrase you use reinforces a new identity. Another essential practice is to treat money with respect. Yes, respect. Many people say they want to get rich, but they're always bad-mouthing those who have money, dismissing small bills or saying that money is dirty and only causes headaches. Now, how can you expect to attract something you despise? It would be like someone saying they want to find true love, but always saying they don't trust anyone. Money is an energy that responds to how you treat it. If you treat it with lightness, gratitude, and respect, it tends to stay. If you treat it with contempt, fear, or anger, it slips away. You also need to understand the role of repetition in mental reprogramming. Many people give up too quickly. They start thinking positively for 2 or 3 days, but when nothing changes immediately, they fall back into their old patterns. This is like trying to change your body by going to the gym twice. It doesn't work that way. The mind needs to be trained every day, and the training is silent, constant, and patient. It's waking up in the morning and repeating, "Today money comes to me easily." It's going to sleep saying, "Every night I become more aligned with abundance." It doesn't matter if it seems like a lie at first. Keep going, because it's consistency that transforms. And what's more, stop waiting for external changes to change internally. This is a common trap. People say, "When I have money, then I'll think positively." But that's not how it works. It's exactly the opposite. First, you think positively. Then, over time, the money starts coming in. Thinking positively when everything is going well doesn't have the power to transform. It's when things are difficult, and yet you choose to believe, that the power begins to act. Let's talk about a transformative habit, mentalization, the practice of visualizing every day what you want to experience. Not just seeing it with your mind's eye, but feeling it with your heart. You need to imagine the moment when your account is full, you pay everything with ease, you travel, you live well, and you need to feel this image as if it were real. Emotion is what activates the process. Thought alone is weak, but thought combined with feeling generates vibration, and vibration attracts. So, take 5 minutes out of your day to close your eyes and visualize the life you want. Imagine details. See yourself walking confidently, opening your banking app and seeing a positive balance. See yourself helping others with freedom. Feel happy, grateful, and at peace. Do this every day. Visualization is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. And over time, your reality begins to adjust to this new image. Another powerful practice is self-observation. Notice how you react when a new possibility arises. When someone mentions an opportunity, do you say, "That's not for me"? When you see a high-value product, is your first reaction, "I can't afford it"? These automatic reactions are revealing. They show how much your mind is still conditioned by scarcity. But just by observing, you begin to gain power, because you only change what you recognize. And with this power comes responsibility. The responsibility to stick with the process. Because wanting isn't enough. You have to commit. Commit to thinking differently, even when everything around you says otherwise. Commit to repeating affirmations every day, even when it seems futile. Commit to treating money with love, even when it seems small. Because that's how you change reality, with persistence, intention, and clarity. Remember, you don't need to understand every detail. You don't need to know how the money will come. Your job isn't to control the how. Your job is to align yourself with what you want. Life takes care of the rest. When the mind is ready, the path appears. Many people spend their entire lives waiting for a major change that will solve all their financial problems at once. They imagine winning the lottery, receiving an inheritance, being discovered by someone who will save their situation. This thinking, while seemingly harmless, is extremely dangerous because it places power outside of oneself. It places the solution in the hands of something beyond one's control. And while waiting for this external miracle, time passes, life goes on, and scarcity continues, strong and firm. The mind that desires wealth needs to be trained to take full responsibility for its own financial reality. Responsibility, not in the sense of guilt, but of control. You need to accept once and for all that you are the one who creates the landscape of your life with the thoughts you cultivate every day. And this is wonderful news, because it means you have the power to change everything. You are not stuck in the situation you find yourself in. You are simply accustomed to it. Habit is one of the most powerful forces in existence. The daily repetition of thoughts, feelings, and attitudes builds an internal system that becomes automatic. And this system is what determines whether a person will prosper or remain the same. This is why often, even when an opportunity presents itself, those with a scarcity mindset don't see it. Or they do see it, but hesitate, sabotage themselves, and give up before trying. The mind untrained for success is a master at creating excuses, and these excuses come disguised as logic, prudence, and reality. But deep down, they are merely protections against the unknown. You need to understand that all true change creates discomfort at first, because the mind wants to remain in what it already knows, and if it's accustomed to scarcity, it will resist the idea of abundance. It will say it's not for you. It will say it's nonsense. It will say that positive thinking doesn't pay the bills. And if you listen to this voice, you remain stuck in the same place. But if you observe this voice, recognize that it's part of the old programming, and even so continue the reprogramming process, you begin to break out of the cycle. The process is simple, but it requires discipline. It requires that you feed your mind with ideas of prosperity every day, that you distance yourself from negative conversations, from people who only complain, from content that reinforces fear and limitation, that you protect your mind like you protect a garden, because, like a garden, your mind only flourishes when it is tended with attention, love, and persistence. Now imagine that your mind is a house. And what have you been letting into that house? What thoughts have been dwelling there? Are they thoughts of gratitude, trust, or growth, or thoughts of despair, comparison, or scarcity? Every thought is like a guest, and you decide who gets to stay. If you want wealth to become a permanent resident, you must first expel the thoughts that prevent it from entering. This replacement process is practical. Every time a fearful thought arises, you can interrupt it with a new affirmation. For example, if you think, "I can't afford this," immediately say, "I trust that the resources will come in due time." If you think, "I don't have the money for this right now," say, "I am making space to attract the resources I need." Over time, your mind begins to adapt to this new language, and the new language shapes a new reality. Another essential point is to develop trust in the invisible, not in the spiritual or mystical sense, but in the rational sense. Just because you don't yet see materialized wealth doesn't mean it's not moving toward you. Many things happen in the invisible before they appear in the visible. Ideas, connections, synchronicities, new paths. All of this begins to be activated when you change your way of thinking. But if you give up too soon, if you stop believing because you don't see quick results, you cut off the flow. It's like digging a well and stopping when you're just inches from the water. Confidence needs to be cultivated. It's a muscle. You strengthen it when you keep believing even when you can't see it, when you act like someone prosperous, even if you don't yet have all the money you desire. This isn't an illusion, it's preparation. It's like an athlete who trains every day before a competition. They don't have victory yet, but they're becoming someone ready for it. You also need to become ready for wealth, and this can be done with small gestures. By organizing your finances, even if you have little. By treating every penny that comes in with respect. By stopping saying you're always broke or broke. By observing how you react to opportunities, because each of these actions sends a clear message to the universe and, most importantly, to your own mind. I am ready. And here comes a powerful concept, the energy of deservingness. Many people don't attract wealth because, deep down, they don't feel worthy. They think money is only for others, that they don't have what it takes. This is a lie constructed over the years, a lie repeated by family, friends, and society, and one that has become accepted as truth. But you can break this lie now. How? By choosing every day to believe that you deserve it, that you are capable, that you are ready. Say out loud now, I deserve to prosper. I open myself to abundance. I am worthy of living with financial freedom. These words, when repeated with intention, begin to dissolve the layer of internal resistance. They begin to make room for a new vision of yourself, and this new vision is the starting point for everything you want to experience. The key is to stay focused, because a scattered mind, a mind that jumps from idea to idea, never builds anything solid. You need to decide that you will focus on prosperity, that you will build every day a mental foundation so firm that no external crisis will shake it, that no negative comment will make you doubt, that no temporary hardship will convince you that you can't. You can. And more than that, you're already on the path. The fact that you're here listening to this, seeking to understand, to strengthen yourself, already shows that something has changed. And when the mind changes, everything changes. There's a silent truth that few people recognize. How you treat money when you have little determines how money will treat you when you have a lot. Many people think they'll only change their habits after they become rich, but this is one of the great illusions that fuels scarcity. What you do today with the little you have is what defines your ability to receive more. Anyone who keeps saying, "When I have money, then I'll start organizing my life," is postponing their own transformation. They're saying, without realizing it, that they're not ready. And as you already know, money doesn't go to those who need it. It goes to those who are ready. Being ready means acting like someone who already lives in abundance, even if the results haven't yet appeared. This doesn't mean pretending. It doesn't mean living by appearances. It means adjusting your behavior, your posture, your thinking, so they align with the life you want to build. For example, instead of despising coins, start valuing them. They are part of the flow, and what is respected grows. When you treat the little you have well, you send a clear signal that you are ready to receive more. Another key point is how you react to the prosperity of others. If you feel uncomfortable when someone shares a financial achievement, this is a symptom of internal resistance. It's a sign that deep within you, there's still a belief that wealth is something distant, perhaps unfair, or that it only happens to a lucky few. But this isn't true. Someone else's prosperity doesn't take away from yours. Another person's success doesn't hinder yours. On the contrary, when you celebrate other people's wealth, you reinforce in your mind the idea that it's possible, and what's more, you move energetically closer to that standard. So the next time you hear someone say they got a raise, closed a good deal, or achieved something you also desire, smile and say to yourself, I'm on my way too. This simple act changes your vibration, and it all starts with vibration. Vibration is the emotional state you carry throughout your day. It's not something mystical, it's psychological. When you wake up angry, anxious, or frustrated with your financial situation, you act, speak, and think based on those feelings. And this creates a negative cycle. But when you choose to start your day with gratitude, even for small things like a hot coffee or a long shower, you shift your frequency. And this shift influences the choices you make, the way you behave, and the opportunities you perceive. Therefore, a transformative habit is to start your day with a sequence of affirmations. Something like, today, I open my mind to receive. Today, I acknowledge the prosperity that already exists in my life. Today I act with confidence, knowing I am moving closer to the life I desire. These words are like commands to your brain. They set the tone for your day, and over time, they rebuild the foundation of your identity. Identity. This is a key word, because no one attracts a reality greater than their self-image. If deep down you still see yourself as limited, destined to live in poverty, you will create experiences that confirm this image. Not because that's what you desire, but because that's what you believe to be your place. The mind always seeks coherence between what you believe and what you live, and if there's a conflict, the mind always wins. Therefore, you need to reevaluate your self-image. How do you see yourself when you think about the future? Do you imagine yourself living well, having choices, helping people, or do you see yourself simply surviving, counting the days until your paycheck arrives? This image you nurture is an invisible mold, and it's within it that your reality fits. If the mold is small, life will be too. But if you expand the mold, you expand your possibilities. And how do you expand this mold? With intention, with practice, with discipline. A powerful exercise is to write down who you are becoming every day on paper. Write as if it were already a reality. For example, I am a prosperous person with a rich mind who easily attracts opportunities. I have financial security, comfort, and freedom to choose. I feel gratitude for living in tranquility and abundance. Do this for 21 days. Don't just read it, feel it, visualize it. Allow this new identity to settle within you. Establishing a new identity is the true path to change. Because as long as you continue to identify with scarcity, you will continue to live according to it. It's like someone who wants to lose weight, but still sees themselves as someone who can't. The effort is sabotaged by self-image. But when you begin to see yourself as wealthy, even if it's still in the development phase, your mind begins to create coherence with this new vision. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. Consistency is key. It's not about intensity, it's about constancy. It's better to repeat an affirmation every day for 5 minutes than to do a long ritual and then forget. Wealth is built like a building, brick by brick, and the first brick will always be your thoughts. And be careful. Scarcity is cunning. It will always try to return disguised as concern, caution, and a feet-on-the-ground attitude. It will remind you of bills, debts, and negative balances. But when this happens, stop, breathe. Remember that change isn't about denying reality, but about creating a new reality from within. It's not about running away from problems, but about facing them with a new mindset. Wealth begins with the decision to change, a silent, intimate, but firm decision. The decision to no longer accept a limited life, to no longer repeat the pattern of scarcity, to no longer follow the script that has been handed down, often without question. It's saying, enough, I can do more, I am more, and I will live the best life has to offer. And if you've come this far, it's because that decision is already being made within you. Have you ever stopped to consider how much a person's financial life reflects their internal patterns? When someone lives with their bank account constantly at their limit, always needing loans, always postponing dreams for the sake of money, this isn't a coincidence. There's an invisible repetition that sustains this reality. A silent mental model that repeats itself day after day, like software running in the background. This mental model is what needs to be changed if you want to live differently. And this change begins with a simple question. What is my current standard of worth? It may seem strange to think this way, but everyone carries within themselves a kind of emotional thermometer about how much money they think they deserve to earn, how much abundance they think they can have, how well they believe they can live. This thermometer is adjusted throughout life, by experiences, by family members, by school and social situations. And often it is set far below what would be possible. People say they want to earn a good living, live comfortably and prosper, but deep down, they feel like this isn't for them, that it would be too good, that it's far from their reality. And that's where the blockage lies, because the mind doesn't work against what you believe is fair for you. If deep down you think you can only survive on a little, it will help you maintain that little. It will create distractions, fears, sabotage, and justifications, so you never surpass your own internal limits. But here's the secret. This limit is adjustable. This thermometer of worthiness can be raised. And the way to do this is through the conscious repetition of new ideas. You need to start repeating every day that you deserve more, that you can have more, that living in abundance is not a privilege, it's a right that only manifests itself when you clearly accept it. So say it out loud now, even if it feels strange. I deserve to live comfortably. I allow myself to receive more than I ever imagined. I accept that wealth is a natural part of my life. These phrases need to be felt. They need to be said with truth, with strength, with conviction, even if at first they seem far from your reality. Over time, your mind begins to accept them, and when it accepts, it begins to act differently. Your choices change, your attitude changes, and life responds. One of the clearest signs that you're changing internally is when you start to feel uncomfortable with old habits. Complaints that once seemed normal start to feel heavy. Negative self-talk starts to tire you out. You start to want to move away from environments that only reinforce scarcity, comparison, and victimhood. This is an excellent sign. It means your vibration is shifting, that you're moving out of the frequency of scarcity and into the frequency of creation. And creating a new reality is exactly that, changing your frequency. This happens when you start acting like someone who already lives the life you want. And here's the important thing to understand. You don't need to spend more to appear rich. This isn't a wealth mentality, it's a fantasized lack. A rich mentality is knowing how to manage what you have with dignity, knowing how to say no gracefully, knowing how to wait patiently, knowing how to act wisely. People who cultivate a wealth mindset have a different approach to life. They don't chase money all the time. They become people who money respects, and money respects those who treat it with ease, clarity, and purpose. Have you ever noticed how some people are always struggling, even when they earn well? And how some, even with little, always seem balanced, organized, and with a clear path? This is no coincidence. It's mindset. The difference lies in how each person thinks and feels about money. And here's a crucial point. You need to stop using money as an excuse. How many times have you said, if I had money, I'd do this or that? And because of that, you stopped. You stopped trying, you stopped starting. This is a trap, because it conditions your life to an external factor. But the truth is, money isn't the beginning, it's the result. What starts first is the attitude, the decision, the action, even if it's small. A prosperous person doesn't wait to have everything to begin. They start with what they have, and it's this movement that creates the flow of abundance. Money comes in response to a state of readiness. It responds to clarity of intention. When you firmly decide that you will grow financially, that you will prosper, that you will change your reality, this decision opens doors that were previously invisible. You begin to perceive new ideas. You begin to hear things that previously went unnoticed. You begin to move differently, and this movement requires daily support. You need to constantly nurture this new mindset, and not with forced effort, but with ease, with pleasure. Make it a ritual. Every day, take time to listen to words of prosperity, to repeat your affirmations, to be grateful for what you already have. Gratitude, in fact, is one of the most powerful tools for keeping your mind in a high frequency. When you give thanks, you acknowledge. And what is acknowledged tends to multiply. At the end of each day, reflect, what today was a sign of my evolution? What did I do today that brought me closer to the life I want? It doesn't matter how small. The important thing is to keep moving, because stagnation is the breeding ground for scarcity. Movement, however slow, is the fertile soil for wealth. You are rewriting your financial script, and that requires courage. The courage to think differently, to feel differently, to act differently. It requires facing your fears, looking at yourself honestly, accepting your mistakes, and above all, choosing to no longer live on autopilot. Wealth is a state of consciousness. a way of existing in the world, and each day you choose this new path, a little more wealth begins to come your way. Have you ever noticed how some people are always saying that money is hard to come by, that it's hard work, that it only comes with suffering? Phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees, you have to work hard to have anything, or only those born rich can live well are repetitions that, after hearing them so often, we end up accepting as absolute truths. But these phrases aren't truths, they're beliefs, and beliefs are learned, absorbed, and repeated. The good news is that if learned, they can also be unlearned. Every time you repeat something with emotion, your mind registers it as a command. If you say with conviction that making money is difficult, your brain starts looking for ways to confirm that idea. It filters out opportunities, disregards paths that seem simpler, and unconsciously directs you toward experiences that reinforce what you believe. This is science. The human brain seeks congruence between beliefs and reality, and it prefers to keep you in a difficult but familiar scenario rather than launch you into something new, even if better. Therefore, anyone who wants to change their life needs to start by changing their vocabulary, the way they talk about money, the way they think about it, the way they feel, because words carry energy, emotions shape thoughts, thoughts shape actions, and actions create realities. It all starts within. It's internal, and the external only replicates what has been authorized within you. Now imagine that your mind is like a fertile field. Everything you plant in it grows. If you plant fear, insecurity, scarcity, worry, you will reap it in abundance. If you plant confidence, clarity, worthiness, and gratitude, the fruits will be different. The field doesn't question what you throw at it. It simply responds. Your mind does the same, and it's listening to you all the time. It's absorbing everything you think about the world, about yourself, about others. So stop now and reflect. What phrases have you been saying lately about money, about prosperity, about living well? What thoughts come to mind when you look at your bank account? Are they of gratitude, even if only a little, or frustration? Are they of anticipation or fear? This self-observation is one of the first steps to breaking out of autopilot and taking control of your own reality. And to do this, you need to understand that it's not money itself that solves your life. It's the right mindset about it. Because if money comes to a disorganized mind, it disappears. Have you ever heard stories of people who suddenly gained a lot and lost it all in a short time? This happens because their internal structure wasn't prepared. The money came, but it didn't find a mental space capable of sustaining it. On the other hand, when someone develops a rich mindset, even if they start from scratch, even if they have little, that little begins to grow, because the person values, organizes, and uses it purposefully, and money, when treated well, begins to multiply. This isn't magic, it's logic, it's conscious repetition, it's practice, it's focus. You don't need to wait for major external changes to start practicing this. You can start now, where you are, with what you have. Start by creating a new relationship with money. No matter how much you bring in each month, treat it carefully. Keep a simple but clear record. Set aside a portion, even if it's symbolic, to invest in yourself. This teaches your mind that you're prioritizing yourself, and what's prioritized grows. Another key point is to recognize the small signs of prosperity around you. An unexpected invitation, a gift you received, a bill you managed to pay effortlessly, even a new idea that came to you. These are all small signs that something is moving. If you learn to recognize and be grateful for these details, you keep the energy moving. Gratitude is an accelerator of abundance, but it needs to be sincere. It needs to come from the heart. And here's something powerful. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for that relate to your financial life. It could be something as simple as, I managed to save a little today, or I was able to make a major purchase without breaking the bank. This simple exercise reinforces in your mind the idea that you're making progress. And the brain, when it sees progress, releases dopamine, which increases your motivation. It's a positive cycle that strengthens over time. You can also harness the power of questions. Instead of drowning in negative statements like, why doesn't it ever work for me? Change the question to something that opens up possibilities, like, what can I learn from this situation? Or, how can I attract more opportunities with what I already have? The quality of your questions determines the quality of the answers your mind will seek. Prosperous minds ask constructive questions. Scarce minds ask questions that reinforce the problem. And if you're thinking, but my reality today is far from prosperity, remember, All reality is temporary. What you experience today is the result of what you believed yesterday. If you change now consistently, your tomorrow will be different. This is inevitable. But there must be commitment. There must be clear intention. And above all, there must be daily practice. Practice is what turns desire into reality. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as repeating positive phrases every morning. It can be meditating for 5 minutes, visualizing a life of abundance. It can be writing down your thoughts and correcting yourself when you notice a negative pattern. The important thing is not to just dwell on wishing, because everyone wants to, but few practice, few commit, few maintain focus long enough to see the fruits of their labor. You're here because you want more, because you feel you can do more, because you're ready to break the patterns that have limited generations, and change starts with you. It starts now. Have you ever heard someone say, "I do everything right, but I never have any money left over"? This phrase, repeated with sincerity and frustration, reveals something profound, an unconscious pattern of scarcity that persists even when outward actions seem correct. And this is where many people get lost. They think the problem lies only in the practical side, and of course managing money well is essential, but they ignore the fact that without a solid mental foundation, no practice is sustainable. It all starts in the mind, always. Before any financial strategy, any savings or growth plan, the main question needs to be, how is my emotional relationship with money? Because this relationship is what defines how you handle the resources that come into your life. If you feel guilty about spending on something that makes you feel good, or feel unworthy of saving money for yourself, or sabotage yourself when you're about to take an important step, this isn't a lack of competence, it's an internal pattern. And internal patterns are like roots. You can't see them, but they support the entire tree. When the root is diseased, the trunk may even appear firm on the outside, but sooner or later the fruit withers. Likewise, when your mind is rooted in scarcity, doubt, or fear, you might get a raise, close a deal, or save for a while, but soon everything returns to its previous pattern, because the root is still the same. That's why you need to tend to the root. Tend to what you can't see. Tend to what's being fed inside you every day without you even realizing it. Tend to automatic thoughts. Tend to the emotions that arise when dealing with money. Tend to the words you repeat without question. Words like, "It's too hard," "This isn't for me," "I've never been lucky," "Those born poor die poor." These phrases are like silent poisons that contaminate your roots, even when you don't want them to. The good news is that every root can be healed, and this healing begins with a new choice of language, focus, and repetition. You need to become vigilant about what enters your mind. Just as you watch what you eat, drink, and wear, you need to watch what you allow yourself to think and feel. You can no longer be negligent about this. You can no longer accept poor thoughts as if they were normal. They are not. They are just repeated, and what is repeated can be replaced. Replace "I can't" with "I'm learning." Replace "I can't" with "How can I?" Every time you change your mindset, you shift gears in your mind, and over time this new movement begins to reflect in real life. The opportunity that once went unnoticed now stands out. The idea that seemed impossible now seems feasible. The solution that once seemed distant now approaches. It's no coincidence. It's the result of a new mental programming. And here comes a concept that needs to be deeply understood. There is no shortage of money in the world. What exists is a lack of alignment with the frequency of abundance. Money is in circulation. Every day it changes hands, is invested, multiplied, transferred, received. The question isn't, why isn't there money? Well, the question is, why isn't it still flowing freely in my direction? And the answer, most of the time, lies in internal blockage. This blockage could be fear, guilt, anger, shame, self-sabotage, low self-esteem, or inherited beliefs. But it's not fixed. It's not permanent. It only lasts as long as you feed it. When you start to weaken this pattern, it loses strength, and you do this by repeating new patterns. If today, when you hear about money, you still feel a tightness in your chest, that's not a sign that you should avoid the subject. It's a sign that you should face it with a new attitude. Talk about money, write about it, think about it with gratitude, imagine it flowing to you naturally. Create positive mental images involving your financial life every day. This isn't wishful thinking, it's about re-education. Your mind has learned to associate money with hardship. Now it needs to learn to associate money with freedom, growth, and ease, and this is achieved with constant practice. A simple and powerful exercise is to write an affirmation daily, such as, "I attract money with ease and wisdom," or "My mind is open and ready to prosper." Don't just write it, read it out loud. Feel what you're saying. Make it a sacred habit. Treat this moment as a workout, because that's what it is, a mental workout. Just as the body needs repetition to strengthen, so does the mind. And the most incredible thing is that by training your mind for abundance, you begin to feel more confidence, more security, more clarity in decision-making. And these emotions are like magnets. They attract experiences compatible with your current vibration. And remember, your vibration is perceived by others, even without words. A person who feels prosperous exudes confidence, and this confidence opens doors. People trust those who trust themselves. Opportunities arise for those who behave like someone who's already on the right path. It's not pretense, it's alignment. It's acting in coherence with what you want to build. Now think, what's the behavior of someone who already lives the life you want? How do they think? How do they react to challenges? How do they talk about money? How do they organize their routine? How do they invest their time? Start incorporating these answers into your reality. Start mentally imitating this version of yourself who already lives with financial freedom. This exercise is powerful because when you behave like someone who has already arrived, the path adjusts to take you there. You're not far from what you want. You just need to adjust your focus, adjust your frequency, and most importantly, adjust your inner identity. The question isn't, how will I achieve it? But rather, who do I need to become to live what I desire? And when you answer that question with action, day after day, the result is inevitable. Now that you've come this far, something has already changed within you. You may not yet see it with your eyes, but you already feel it in your heart. A seed has been planted, a new vision about yourself, about money, about what's possible to build starting today. And this seed, like all seeds, needs care. It needs repetition. It needs discipline. It needs daily decision-making. From now on, everything you've heard can't be just more information. It needs to become a transformation. It needs to become an attitude. It needs to be put into practice every day, even if only for a few minutes. Wealth isn't something that happens overnight. It's built step by step, thought by thought, choice by choice. You've already started this journey, and that's the hardest step. Starting. You don't have to return to the old pattern. You no longer need to define yourself by past mistakes, by the limitations you've experienced, or by the beliefs you inherited. What's gone is gone. What matters now is the choice you make from today onward. And if the choice is clear, if there's commitment, if there's consistency, life begins to change. Slowly at first, then faster, until one day you look back and realize everything has changed, because you have. Repeat firmly, I am the creator of my financial reality. I have the power to change it, and I am changing it now. And if this content resonated with you, share it. Send it to someone who needs to hear it. Write a sentence in the comments that summarizes your new decision. Something simple like, I choose to prosper from this day forward. This way, you make a commitment to your mind and inspire others to do the same. You're ready. And more than that, you deserve to live abundantly. Thanks for stopping by. If you'd like to hear more about wealth, click on the video I left on the screen. See you there.